Greetings! Welcome to the devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, we've got another alpha, finally, and along with it, a whole big batch of new toys for you folks to play with. So let's start off. Let's turn around. Wow, look at that table full of toys. I'm going to jump right to the thing that has probably caught your attention from the video thumbnail and from that look around. That's right, we finally have the Uzi, or rather several of them, to complete our family. This is our Uzi Classic. This is made by Stefan, and it is an absolutely gorgeous model. The originals had a wood stock on them. A lot of folks don't know that, so that's what we've got here. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. Let's do it on semi first. Rock on to full. Ah, delightful. Just love it. Absolutely love it. To go with it, we've got the version that you've probably seen a whole lot more of in the movies and such, which is our Uzi that I've named Uzi Compact, because we've got the retractable stock on it. We can absolutely pull this out like that, pop that on. Otherwise, operationally identical. Supremely controllable. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful. And we've got a suppressor to go with it. This beefy Uzi suppressor. Oh, it is being a pain on me today. We are going to get that fixed for the build. This was working the other day. It's a little bit of a challenge because you can see that the barrel protrudes a lot out of the gun, right? But the suppressor is supposed to fit more flush on it. So I think I've got some collision objects fighting each other. Hopefully I will have that fixed before we push the build tonight. Oh, so much fun. Beautiful. It is an alpha after all. So yeah, so we've got that looking good. And of course, the least common, like lots of folks have seen the Uzi, lots of folks have seen the micro Uzi, very few folks have seen the mini Uzi, which I always thought was kind of ridiculously named because, like, it's not that mini. Like, it's a little shorter up front, but that's mainly it. A little shorter on the back, but it's got a side fold stock here. Definitely cool, though. Just as effective. Good stuff, good stuff. So we've got that. Let's toss you over there. So what else have we got? Well, let's do the small stuff. I've got two, oops, that is still bugged. I've got two Mark 4s for you. One of them is bugged right now just in my testing build, so I'll just use this one. This is the Mark 4 Hunter, which is standard 22 LR, but we've got these really gorgeous glow sights to help you aim. And then the Mark IV, what I named the Mark IV Whisper, and this sucker has a already integrated suppressor. Nice and quiet. Going to be really useful for shooting Rottweilers without attracting more at the end of the month. And we've also got a bugged, so I can't fully show it to you. This is called the Explorer 22, which I think is based off of, I think it's the AR, it's either the AR7 or the AR9, I always forget. In real life is a remarkably crappy 22 LR pistol, but it's just got a sweet look. The magazine goes in here. It is broken right this second, but as soon as I'm done filming this devlog, I'm gonna go fix it. Next up, we have got this rather huge Russian sporting shotgun called the MP155K. It takes a 5-round box. It is semi-automatic, quite bulky, and gotta take it off safe. But but still quite effective. It's anytime I see a magazine-fed shotgun, I always sort of like, I'm like, ooh, I want to put that in, because that category is a little thin. You know, we just have the AA-12, and we've got the Sega and the CQB 870. So it was an opportunity to throw another one of these in, especially because for Rotwieners, I wanted a larger number of firearms in the game that are really sort of civilian-oriented for those loot tables. Wonderful. And of course, the prototypical civvy gun that we have here. That's right, I have finally done it. Other than our the crazy sort of long grip kind, we have just a straight up run of the mill, albeit SBR AR15. So that's right. This is, I'm putting a 10 rounder in it. This is semi-auto only. It's got this really compact stock. So if you want to play it up real close to your face, you can. Let's get ourselves an optic to use on this. Like our red dot, we can situate that nice and far back, have that right up in our view, take it off of, oh, helps to charge it first, Anton. Or we can pull the stock out, have it further away. Wonderful. So there you have it. I know it's been requested forever, but now you have a nice, just fairly vanilla semi-auto AR-15, once again to show up in a bunch of the loot tables in Rotwieners, because it's in the early game, it's going to privilege sort of firearms you would find as a civilian versus sort of like fully automatic military firearms. So had to have this in it. There we go. Wonderful. So that is all of our new toys. We're going to jump over to a scene that I don't think I have opened in a devlog in quite a long time, because we've got some additions that I think you're going to like a lot. Holy moly meats, we are in the breaching scene. That's right. So last night, while I was taking a bit of a break from working on Rotwieners, which has been a little tiring, I decided to jump back into here and do some long-needed improvements. So what did I do? I rebuilt the collision, which isn't a visual change, but basically it's now based on primitive colliders. It has P materials. You can actually shoot through most of these walls with more powerful cartridges. And it's just more reliable. You should no longer ever fall through the ground. If you still somehow manage to, please let me know. Let's go ahead and get ourselves something to play with here. Maybe a 1911 tactical, which I'll probably regret for picking something 45 for this, but what are you gonna do? Let's put a suppressor on it for maximum tacticalness. And though this kind of defeats the stealthy purpose for fun, we'll throw some tracers in it. There we go. Beautiful. So why might I be doing this? Well, if we come over here, we can see that the buttons have been moved over here because we have more options. So in addition to, I didn't ever change anything about the layout of the way you used to be able to spawn things. You can still spawn the hot dog targets and the IPSC sequence exactly how they've always been if you have any sort of particular emotional attachment to that. But I have added an option where you can now spawn things in random positions. By the way, when I hit one of these buttons, there's probably going to be some glass bottles over there that shatter because of errant collision damage. That will be fixed before I push the update. So if I click this, boop, spawn hot dogs, random positions, and then run through this scene, we'll notice they are in new locations. Beautiful. The same thing is true of our IPSC. Let's come over here for our IPSC targets. As we begin that, yep, there's that glass breaking. Oh, one in there. So if you want something closer to a sort of a reflex challenge with this, where they're not going to be, there's basically like 20 targets spawn, and there's 50 or 60 possible spawn points throughout the apartment. So for those of you who enjoy doing this, but were like, I've memorized where they all are at this point, it's not quite the same. Here you go. And then lastly, we have a very experimental addition to this, which is that I have tried to jam some Sosigs in here. It does not work great at the moment because the physics collision is super tight and constrained here between the destructible objects and things like that. But in a really important way, I put it in to see how it fails so that I can make that AI work better. So we're going to reset that. I'm going to spawn, you can spawn 1, 3, 5, or 10 in. And one of the reasons that I have it all the way down at 1 is that there is some new agent perceptual systems in the game now. And I'm going to go ahead and fire that off. So basically, just in this scene and in the proving ground, weapon operation sounds now make sound that AI can perceive. And so what that actually means is that, like, when you get a bolt hit back sound like that, that's a sound that, based on range and a bunch of other parameters, a bot can actually hear. And there's actually some differences between how loud those sounds are. So if, for example, say I've just discharged a magazine, the gun, like so, and I drop the magazine out, it hits the ground, I come in hard with a mag, make a loud sound, and then let the slide snap forward. That's actually going to be pretty loud compared to if I had done the same thing, sort of thing, and I took this into my hand, put it in there, carefully came in with a mag, and then grabbed the slide and didn't release it and actually rode it forward with my hand. That's actually a little quieter. So they will hear that, and I'm still experimenting with the intensities and distances, but you can alert them now with various operation sounds. So for those of you who like to play all sneaky-deaky with a suppressed weapon and such, it's now really fun to just sort of spawn one and sort of come in at a various engagement angle and try to get the drop on it. So I'm going to spawn one here. I have no idea where in the apartment he is. Try not to hit my gun on anything, because that'll make noise as well. Eventually, I'll probably add... Oh! It glitched out. Sometimes they actually don't get their guns because it gets caught on the collision geo. I'm still working on that. So we are hunting an unarmed Sosig here. Doesn't feel super sporting. I really like Arm Swinger because it allows you to make these very tiny movements. Just barely moving your controller as you sneak. Where is he? It's freaking me out now.
You're gonna need a wagon when I'm done with you.
Got him! As I said, not super sporting, because his weapon didn't spawn correctly, but that's another thing I'm tweaking just before releasing this today. So yeah, so the breaching scene now is a bit more multifunction, is really great if you don't want sort of like really high intensity combat, but just something with like 1 to 3 agents and working really carefully, where the moment you start firing off shots, you're going to get all their attention. So yeah. Wow. Still so much fun. Must end all watermelons. So there you go. That is where the breaching scene is at. I hope you have some fun again playing with it. Eventually, I'll make another one, but I've thought about changing some more things about this, but I'm just too nostalgic. This has been in a game like this for so long. I didn't want to change really anything else aesthetic about it. So, slap. So let's go ahead and jump out of VR and take a look at all of the other changes that are coming in this alpha that are worth testing.
Yo!
So now that we're here, let's take a look at the rest of our change log. Some very important stuff in here. So I have changed the way that SOSIC spawning in the Proving Ground works, because a lot of folks were complaining about the fact that far too many of them were spawning really heavily armored in a way that made fighting with certain types of weapons not so fun. And so what I did was I changed it so that there are now 3 profiles for how the SOSICs can spawn in it: light, medium, and heavy, and you can choose to have them spawn as a random mix of those 3 profiles, or just fight lights, just fight mediums, just fight heavies, and such. So that should give you more control for things like that. As I said, I added the sort of in the Proving Ground and in the breaching scene, they can perceive the sounds of weapon operation, and not all collision sounds, but a lot of collision sounds they can perceive. Let's see what else right here. I reverted for now the melee weapon hold trigger to hold option on the Vive. I ran out of time. I would have built an option. But a number of people complained about, especially with a trigger that is getting a little long in the teeth, that it probably wasn't the best idea to have on as a default. Melee weapon damage computation has been greatly improved since the last alpha. It's way more consistent. I'm doing some extra casts, especially for long melee weapons, so there can be moments where they technically miss the collision entirely due to frame rate, but still do damage correctly. So that especially makes using like the Claymore and the Katana more reliable and fun. So yeah, I rebalanced a bunch of things with the old Mark II Wiener bots in things like for take and hold and containment that sort of like restored the efficacy of piercing damage from rounds that really overpenetrate. They'll never work the way like the SOSICs are, because that's just a way more nuanced and complex model, but it should make things like take and hold with the new ballistic system way more playable, and in certain ways it's easier, in certain ways it's harder. So if you're finding it too easy, definitely shoot them over to using fast bullets, and that will restore a lot of the feeling that you get from playing in the Proving Ground and such. The Dumples, the little flying drone fellows with the blue energy blasts, and the thing and the person, whatever, now can actually be destroyed easily. Before you just had to pummel them with a ton of damage. Works way better now. 9 and 45 isn't gonna really do much against them, but the moment you're bringing anything akin to a PDW or a rifle round, you're gonna be able to just tear them down, which is how it should be. Gave the 455 Webley just a touch more heat because it needed it. Just, ballistic systems always have edge cases. Let's see here. Yeah, as I mentioned, all those changes to the breaching scene and collision auto and things like that. Bolt actions like the AWM 8400, 8400 Shorty, and SV98 that have removable magazines. You can now actually just tear them out with your hand now instead of clicking down on the touchpad. That was just a legacy thing. And then a whole bunch of bugs and bug fixes and such that I won't bother sort of enumerating right here, but do read the change log that always gets posted with the Reddit posts for these, and on the Steam forum later. So now that we're at that point and we've got one more of our last sort of scenes that need work reactivated, I'm gonna work on. I'll bring Meat Grinder back next Friday. Where are we at schedule wise? So I'm feeling good about how stabilized and the overall, relative amount of bugs compared to any given release, such that I'm actually comfortable that Update 59 will come out next Friday. It will be the sort of like full release of everything that has been changing in the alpha and such, and probably just a couple more toys, and that's it that I already have ready for it, because the following Monday, on the 29th, is when Return of the Rotwieners is going to be releasing. So obviously I didn't show any more of it right now here. I'll have, I mainly show that off on stream when I'm working on things, but I'm going to be incredibly busy this next week getting it done. So I'm probably going to stream a little bit less, because it's one of those like every hour matters over the next 10 days, roughly speaking. So it's going to be intense, but I'm incredibly excited about it. And yeah, it's going to be the biggest mode the game has ever gotten. So I'll probably have a trailer video or two leading up to it, both just sort of to set the stage, and then I'm probably going to release a tips video either before or right after release. So those of you who aren't super practiced in the game, especially some of the mechanics in the game like ammo manipulation and things like that, are going to really matter because it's a limited ammo mode. But yeah, I'll have more to show on that soon. But I'm going to go for now because I need to jump back into Unity here and fix, you know, a couple of those guns that I wanted to show off, and like the magazines glitched out on them, and see if I can get those firearms spawning for the Sosigs without them like glitching into the wall and making them impossible for them to pick up. So wish me luck. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy the alpha release tonight at 7 p.m. PST, and have a wonderful weekend. Peace.